Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It has been an interesting 24 hours to say the least, and it's amazing what a good night's sleep will do for a person. All right, so what are we going to talk about today in this video? Well, as you kind of saw in the thumbnail, we're going to talk quickly about the Montreal Canadiens second round in the 23 NHL entry draft. And the Canadiens, as we know, drafted 3 goalies from rounds 2 to 7, and including Florian Xhekaj. Yes, as we know, Arber Xhekaj's brother. And we're also going to talk at the end of this video some new thoughts, some collected, relaxed, honest thoughts on David Reinbacher, however you say it. So we're going to start off with the Canadiens goalies. Now, digging into Jacob Fowler. So this kid is selected 69th overall. He was the first pick of the third round. The Canadiens did not have any picks in the second round today. So 69th overall in the third round, we take Jacob Fowler, who is a goaltender, 6'1", 212 pounds listed right now. He's 18, turning 19 in November, and he shoots left, which means, of course, that he catches left. And a really good interview on the Canadiens YouTube channel from Jacob Fowler. There was actually some really good opportunity to get to know him, the tie-ins that he actually has to Montreal. He's played there before. His stepfather actually remarried somebody from Montreal, which is pretty cool. So it got him familiar with the city and whatnot. But it was really the interview. I thought the interview was really nice with him, and he actually gave us some pretty good quotes. So I actually took a few quotes here from Jacob Fowler. They were pretty interesting, and they had a lot of questions for him. So let's just get right to this here. Now, Jacob plays a really simple game, not a guy that overmoves, flops around. He likes to keep on his feet and make his game simple, make saves, nothing crazy, nothing sexy. He just likes to stop the puck, he said. He plays like a combination of Cam Talbot, Jake Ottinger, and Craig Anderson. So that was, not specifically stylistic, but those are the 3 players, 3 goaltenders that he compared himself to. He will be going back to Boston College and playing another year there for development. With pressure comes pride. So that was kind of the big quote that came from Jacob Fowler's mouth about playing in Montreal, in that market and what it's going to be like. And it doesn't seem to phase him at all. He actually wants the spotlight. There's actually a direct quote here. He wants the spotlight, the bright lights, the big stage. Pressure is a privilege. And that's something obviously you have to hear almost in a way from somebody who's going to potentially be a goalie in Montreal someday. And, he mentioned that he could be still very, many years away from actually being in the NHL and, playing consistently. And the one thing he said that he wants to work on is his speed. So his agility perhaps as well in that case. So that's something that I really liked hearing from him. And he's actually going to be taking communications, his major in communications in college, and sports management. So the guy is definitely very personable, definitely has that personality of somebody that you could see working at, the hockey store of some kind, like, somewhere you go get your equipment from, whatever. But it just seemed like he had a great personality. So I really liked him. All right. So let's jump over to Florian Xhekaj. So Florian Xhekaj, brother of Arber, was actually at the home opener last year with all of us, watching Arber Xhekaj make his NHL debut with the Habs, along with Slafkovsky, Caden Goalie, etc. He was in that atmosphere, so he knows what it's all about at the Bell Center. And Florian Xhekaj is a Hamilton Bulldog, so I've actually had the chance to see Florian play. And even though Niagara's not very good, it was probably easy for him to impress me, right? But I did pay attention to him, of course, because I knew he was Xhekaj's brother, and I watched him just a few months ago. But he's a left winger. He shoots left. He's already 6'2". He's got the height. Xhekajs have the height in their family going for them. He's listed at 175. So Florian definitely has a lot of filling out to do before eventually one day possibly making the NHL. We're not guaranteeing he's going to make the team, but I have a hard time seeing Florian not get a look at some point in the NHL, because with his brother Arber and the ceiling that Arby has, the expectations that he has, that he's going to want to make that for himself. He's going to want to make that opportunity for himself the way Arber has. So what are we going to nickname the new Xhekaj brother anyway? I mean, it's we know that Arber is typically known as Wi-Fi, or I actually heard somebody who works for the Hamilton Bulldogs affiliate, they call him Alphabet, or they used to at one point. Florian the DeLorean. Not a huge Back to the Future fan. Anyway, regardless, insert edited clip here, by the way, if you can't tell. But the good news about Florian is that he actually plays with some jam as well. He can also fight like his big brother. And like I mentioned, not a not a small guy in terms of height and stature, but obviously, again, needs to put some weight on, which he certainly will. You got to wonder if we're going to see a black guy from Junior Xhekaj shirt from Hockey Junkie. You heard it here first, Matt. You're welcome. Black guy from Junior Xhekaj. That sounds kind of cool. Regardless, either way, this is a really cool story. The fact that the brothers are on this team and just knowing the styles of play. The Xhekajs are not a family that takes shifts off. And that includes his parents as well. Two solid blue collar, hardworking family, the Xhekajs are. And we learned that there's actually 6 of them in total. But regardless, these guys don't take shifts off. And we haven't had brothers on the team since the Kostitsins. And these guys are going to work a heck of a lot harder than them, let me tell you. And in 68 games played last year with Hamilton, also playing with his hometown team as RB did. In 68 games played, 13 goals, 12 assists, 25 points, 76 penalty minutes, a -17. In 6 games played in the playoffs, 1 goal, 2 assists, 3 points total in those 6 games. So round 4, and Florian went 101st overall in this draft to the Canadiens. Now, I'm not going to get too much into the other goaltenders. I will tell you the names of them, though. We've got actually Quentin Miller from Montreal, so that's interesting. He actually played with the Quebec Ramparts of the QMJHL. Hello, Patrick Waugh. Or goodbye, Patrick Waugh, because he's actually leaving the team. In the 4th round, he was selected 128th overall by the Montreal Canadiens, another goaltender that catches left, shoots left, 6'2", 183 pounds, got some decent size to him. Then we also took a goaltender, Yevgeny Volokhin from Russia. He was selected in the 5th round, 144th overall in the 23 NHL entry draft. 6'3", 168, taller, little thinner from what we've seen there. Also interesting is that we drafted actually Luke Mittelstadt, brother of Casey Mittelstadt of the Buffalo Sabres. So Luke is actually a defenseman that shoots left, 5'11", 185 pounds, listed right now. Had some good numbers, though, with the Lincoln Stars of the USHL, the Madison Capitals also of the USHL, and then with the University of Minnesota just this past season. So in terms of numbers, I mean, he does strike you as a bit of an offensive defenseman. I can't give you a full profile on him, but just going by his numbers alone, in 60 games played with the Madison Capitals last year in 21-22, 19 goals, 36 assists for 55 points in those 60 games. Coming into the Big Ten and University of Minnesota this year, 38 games played, 5 goals, 16 assists, 21 points in those 38 games played. So those are the players I'm going to talk about from round 2 today. And now I want to go back to our buddy, our pal, our new buddy and pal, David Reinbacher, because you know something, he didn't get a fair shake last night when he got drafted. And that's fair from a fan's perspective because we were all so focused on selecting a forward that we just considered this, me especially, a minimal possibility that Reinbacher would be drafted by the Canadiens at 5th overall. That's where I was. That's where a lot of us were. And frankly, as I've had time to think about it, as I've really tried to understand why the Canadiens made the decision that they did, I listened to Marty Lapointe and Nick Bobrov's presser. I listened to Kent Hughes' presser. And what actually I think was the most interesting quote from all of them was actually from Nick Bobrov, describing how players like Reinbacher are very difficult to acquire. And he said how 2 months out of the year, we all watch how hard it is to play in the Stanley Cup playoffs and how certain players just become indispensable and help your team win a Stanley Cup. And then for the other 10 months of the year, you forget about them in the off season and the regular season. And then you're reminded of it again in 2 months during the Stanley Cup playoffs. So I really liked the explanation in terms of the importance of this position of a right shot defenseman of the caliber and ceiling they believe David Reinbacher is going to be. Another thing I learned about Reinbacher that I didn't necessarily know, even though he says that he has to work mostly on his offensive game, is the fact that he's a breakout defenseman. And this is in his own words, he can feed offensive guys the puck. He's really calm and poised with the puck. As we know, that's the one thing we did hear about him before the draft as well. And he's a good skater. He's tall. So a lot of positive attributes there, but I did not realize that he was kind of a breakout defenseman. So him and Lane Hudson back there, I mean, if they do become a pairing together, the fact that they can get the puck up ice and give that first pass out of the zone and help it turn into as instant offense or as fast of an offensive play as possible is really an encouraging sign too, especially if you got Logan Mailloux back there, who's probably not going to be afraid to jump up in the rush as well. So again, I'm feeling better and better about this pick, and it's only been just over 24 hours since it happened, but I'm feeling a lot better about it. The explanation I got was pretty satisfactory, and the comparisons now to Roman Josi that have come out are pretty amazing, actually. Nashville Predators defenseman, left shot defenseman Roman Josi. Josi's numbers, if you look at them, 827 games played in the NHL, 158 goals, 443 assists, 601 points in those 827 games. Those are really good numbers for a defenseman that Reinbacher is potentially being compared to now. Reinbacher himself said in his interview that the offensive side of his game is what he needs to work on the most, and he needs to get bigger. He needs to get stronger. So he knows what he needs to do. And currently the cap hit for Roman Josi, if Reinbacher gets a raise someday and is able to somehow live up to the standard that Roman Josi is considered at, Yosi's cap hit's over $9 million. So that's a really top-end defenseman. I think right now it seems to me that it's going to be a minimal top 3 defenseman is Reinbacher going to be. That's what I'm really gathering personally. That's the sense that I have. And, last night, the shock that we all had, it was very, very easy to react that way when you're so focused on one thing, offense and forwards. And that's what I was. I really did not dig in deep enough on Reinbacher. I'm going to tell you guys the truth. And that's just not something I want to pull back from. I'm a fan like a lot of you guys. I'm not a scout, like I always say. And I'm glad that I took the time today to learn, because I feel a lot better now about this pick. I got to say, I do feel a lot better about this pick. I genuinely do. After actually listening to the whole interview from David Reinbacher, how well it went with him and the Canadiens, the vision they have, the pairing, the character, the hard work that's going to come from him, and the desire to help win a Stanley Cup in Montreal. And not only that, it was also Jacob Fowler mentioned how he wants to help the Canadiens win a Stanley Cup. And that's a big thing to say as a goalie, knowing that there's no guarantee he's ever going to play for the Montreal Canadiens as a full-time or even backup goalie. So I liked hearing those kind of quotes. But I just wanted to say that about David Reinbacher, because he didn't get a fair shake last night. And especially, poor Carey Price, as we know, forgetting his name. But you know what? It's time that we let it sink in, because there's no changing it at this point. And knowing how important this position it is and how difficult it is to acquire players of this caliber, drafting them for free at this point is a smart move. It's a smart move. It's a vision. It's a better vision down the road than we could have imagined. I mean, how important would it be, or how hard would it be, and frustrating would it be to have a tough time finding a right shot defenseman when you really need one in the playoffs years from now, having to acquire one, etc. This guy was drafted. This guy was drafted by the Canadiens. They really did their homework to make sure that they felt this player was going to help the Canadiens further down the road than any other player that was available at 5. Hard to believe, I know, maybe for some of you still, but I'm starting to believe. And I mean that. Last night I was forcing myself. Now I'm starting to believe and understand that this was a very calculated and very specifically crafted pick by the Canadiens for a lot of reasons. And David Reinbacher is going to surprise a lot of us. I think he's going to make a lot of us laugh looking back years from now at how foolish maybe we were, or maybe ignorant we were. And I'm saying this to myself, not knowing the caliber of what he could bring. But that's because, you know what? Offense gets the glory and defense gets you championships. That's a saying I saw on a shirt years ago, and it's so true. It was a football shirt, but it's still true in hockey, because you need a good D-core to get you to the Stanley Cup. And it's not all about goaltending right now. I know we drafted a lot of goalies, and we're not sure if it's going to be Jacob Dobish or Caden Primo or Cam Fowler. Did I say Cam Fowler? It's Jacob Fowler. Sorry. But we also have to be certain about who's going to be playing in front of our next starting goalies, Sam Montembeault, whoever it's going to be. We need to have a solid core of defensemen in front of our goalie, so that we're not relying heavily on the goaltender. Can you tell me that we didn't do that too much with Carey Price? Because we did way too much. Even though we had a solid D-core in front of him for the 21 Stanley Cup run, we need a solid D-core in front of our next set of goalies for good reason. You guys know why. It's vital to being a Stanley Cup champion. All right, that's all I got, you guys. I'm going to leave it there. I wanted to give some fresh thoughts on everything, and this draft is wrapping up. It's been an amazing 24 hours, and it's been good to get a chance to rethink this Reinbacher drafting and talk about some of the new draft picks here today. So leave your comments down below. As always, hit like and subscribe. You guys have been amazing helping grow this channel. Let's keep it going. You guys are really helping me remind myself how grateful I am to be able to do this. And you guys are the best. So if you're new, thank you. Thank you so much. Hit like and subscribe. We'll see you guys real soon. Go Habs, go. We made the right pick. I'm saying that now. A day later, it's easy to say now, isn't it?